Here are 3 scrambles I want you to take a look at, 2 of which have been floating around on YouTube for quite a while now, and the third one actually sparked some debate around what happened with it. Now, these scrambles are actually linked to 3 different people, the first of which being 6-year-old Xuanyu Zhang, who actually got a 184 on this scramble. Then the second one is Ruiheng's, and Ruiheng's is possibly the luckiest scramble we've ever seen, only topped by one that I'll get to later on in the video, which is even crazier. But it's quite obvious that this alone just shouldn't be possible. I've covered this mind-blowing solve on the channel before, but honestly, I should never really see quadruple X-Cross show up in a reconstruction ever. And this solve ended up being a full step 2.08. Now, both of these solves actually have 2 things in common. Firstly, neither of them were done on camera, and secondly, they were both done on smart cubes. But the thing about the third solve is, this one was actually recorded. And this solve was Yiheng's 1.92, which actually caused a sort of mass hysteria in the community over whether or not this solve should be counted as world best, or basically the unofficial world record. And the main problem people had with this solve was that it wasn't his scramble. The scramble has actually existed for quite a long time, and it's from Bofan Zhang's 2.17 he got a while back. And in this clip, Yiheng is simply trying it out, and he ends up getting a 1.92 on supposedly his first try. This all just brings into question whether or not smart cube scrambles are even legit. And do any of these solves even matter? Well, let me just get to the thing that actually made me want to talk about this in the first place, and that's a 14-move solve that absolutely smashes through the FMC single world record on a speed solve. A solve that will make you contemplate your life for a minute, and then just ask yourself how this even happened in the first place. And that's Yiheng Wang's 1.05. I like can't even say that with a straight face. It just sounds like something out of like a dystopian society. But nonetheless, let me just break it down, or at least try to show you conceptually what the solve would have looked like. Scramble will be on screen now and in the description. So his cross pieces are literally already solved, and on top of that he has a pair already inserted in its slot, which means he has an X cross already solved. And on top of that, he also has a free pair just set up right here, which means that he plans the entirety of F2L and inspection. Of course, it's a pretty simple scramble for Yiheng to do that on. So what he does is he of course just inserts these 2 into the front like this, and then he planned these 2, so he just inserts it into the back like that. And then that actually ends up pairing up this pair, which I think you can basically just see where we're going with this. He inserts this pair and gets a last layer skip with no AUF. And that's a 14-move solve. That was definitely one of the shorter breakdowns I've ever done, but for a reason. I mean, this solve had the X-Cross completely done already, and a free pair basically just waiting for him. And let's not even talk about the last layer skip with no AUF. Technically speaking, there's nothing against a 14-move solve happening in an official competition, but this still just feels illegal. In this case, getting lucky very much so was a crime, at least I would argue so, and doing this solve at 13 TPS was even more illegal. But back to the question, does this even count as anything more than just numbers on a screen that have no more proof than Martin Telesforo getting a 4.41 second 3x3 single in 2013? Oh wait. Well, I don't really think that there's any grounds for these solves to be compared to regular stack mat solves on CS timer scrambles. But one of the main things that we can look at relating to this is the GAN Smart Cube League that was held a couple of months back, in which we did see some pretty crazy times like Yiheng's 273, and we also did see some pretty suspicious scrambles. And I just think that from these examples alone, we can deduce that the CubeStation app does generate some pretty interesting scrambles. Let's just leave it at that. And I don't really think that they can be compared to regular CS timer scrambles. And that's all without even adding on the fact that there's no pickup or put down time on Smart Cube solves. But in terms of whether or not the solves that I've talked about today are Smart Cube world bests, well, that's up to you. I really don't see anything wrong with that. A playing field elevated by luck is still an even playing field nonetheless, and if anything, this just shows that these times are somewhat possible to get. Like, we now have 6-year-olds getting sub 2s on 3x3, at least in some way, shape, or form. I mean, I bet if I gave you a smart cube with an average CubeStation scramble, like the first 2 layers completely finished, you still wouldn't be able to beat these 6-year-olds in a race. Like, you just wouldn't. This is the daily reminder. But at the end of the day, I personally only really count the stack-matted solves that have CS timer scrambles, or at least some other trusted, like, scrambling website or something like that. Yeah, it's still crazy though to see that sub 2 is at least theoretically possible. Just to see Yiheng's like 192 that he got on stack mat, even if he knew the scramble was going to be really good, like it's still really impressive. But yeah, that's just my take on the whole thing. And let me know down below what you guys think. I'll probably leave a comment down there asking you really just what you think about the whole debacle. And we just recently hit 6,000, which is pretty cool. We were at like 5,000 like 2 weeks ago, I think, so thank you guys so much for all the support. But yeah, you can watch a video where I discuss Yiheng's 3.47 right there, and you can subscribe right there. I don't know where they are, but yeah, that's about it. See ya.